We'll kick into it. Kia ora team, if we can get your attention, that would be good. Hello. Okay. Oh, Chris.
I was doing something vital.
Chris.
It was vital for this afternoon.
All right, so we are up to item 9.2, update on the policy work program. So welcoming Hamish up to the table, essentially just to note the progress of the policy work program and also approving 2 amendments to it and noting that work will be undertaken to refresh and agree the policy work program for the 2024 to 27 period by the end of the year. So Hamish, anything you want to say on the report?
No, I think you've stolen the thunder a little bit there.
Just as you were walking.
No, take the report as read and happy to take questions.
Great. Any questions from committee members? Not seeing any questions. Is there someone? Oh, Councillor Wilson. Yeah.
Just in relation to the alcohol licensing fees bylaw. So I was looking at the timelines around that and the process for that, and I was just wondering if there's what the opportunities will be to feed back into that. We had some interesting submissions during the LTP process around that, some of which I thought were quite helpful and might be reflected in the bylaw. So from the draft, from what we've got as the draft to something that's moving along a bit. So has any of that been taken into account yet? Is question one.
Yes, we've analysed the submissions, and a draft report is due to go up and out for next week's meeting, and there's going to be an overview provided this afternoon's briefing of just a high-level submissions and analysis.
Yep.
Options will also come forward as part of the consideration of the report, as a reflection of feedback that we've received.
Yeah, so I think is it July 1st? July the something to adopt it.
No, it would be next week. We're asking you to
adopt it next week.
Yeah, maybe I can say that we are following our usual policy and bylaw process. So although you heard some submissions and received the broad pack through the LTP process, we're now pulling back out to go, as we usually do with you. Here's kind of some of the key themes and things we heard, and we're working through that with you to say what bits we think we would include or change. So we will work through those steps with you. If there's anything you're particularly interested in, you can touch base with Hamish to make sure that we do mention those items. There's also an option in the paper to proceed or to not proceed, or to change how we proceed. So as we would normally do with a policy or bylaw. So you still have options within this time frame.
Yeah. Also, I was just thinking in terms of the reputational risk, we have people coming along saying that it's a done deal. So why are you consulting? It's not proper consultation if you've already made up your mind. And given that we are looking to adopt something that we consulted on prior to deciding on that, that LTP process will still be ongoing. You know what I mean? And yet we will have concluded this portion of that prior.
Yep. I think we'd acknowledge that and say to you that we will make a recommendation to you. We are also acknowledging other options you can consider. I think at the time that we started to talk to you about this bylaw, we did acknowledge that running it through the LTP process did mean that it was slightly tighter than what we might normally do. And if as a result of feedback, you decided that you want to choose an option that you investigate it longer, we would talk to you about what implications that would have. Essentially, if you do that, we would not be adopting the changes to fees through this LTP, and you would have to look at doing something through an annual plan process or later, if that was where you landed.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine anybody would want to go down that track. It's just that if there's an acknowledgement that the feedback that we received through the LTP submissions, because it can't people can't submit now, so with all the submissions that could have been come in but an acknowledgement that we have considered all of those submissions in relation to this bylaw prior to a conclusive bylaw.
So I think we can say yes this afternoon. We're intending to step you through the high level analysis, and then you'll have more information in advance of a decision next week.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Councillor Coe.
Yeah, my favourite one on this list, culture and creativity strategy, which I was talking to Darren about this morning. Look, I don't believe I've ever seen the terms of reference for that strategy. I'm not sure if it was signed off on by the last council, but I'm hearing that it's still a long way off being right. I'm wondering whether we need to press reset on that, go back to basics and look at the terms of reference, where we're at now and what we need to do to fix it, because it's it's a really, really important strategy for a number of different reasons, and we've got to get it right. And this may not be the forum in which to discuss that, but I just want to flag that.
I'm happy to take that question, and just to reassure you that Brendan, Hara and I are meeting to effectively, I'll use your words, look at that reset, and to come back and talk to you about how we think it would step forward. I think ideally the view that's been on the table to date is we don't want to lose what has been progressed, but we do want to make sure that it's got the right focus. So we'll be coming back to you all to make sure that we've landed that. I'll say pleasingly, the Economic Development Kotahitanga Board is very much focused on creativity cluster. I think when we'd first started that wasn't underway, but it will be something that starts to inform and help to bring that more business focused side to this. Hara had also had some feedback from our iwi partners around heritage and how that might also need to be inserted in a slightly different way. So we want to talk to you about how we balance those things and to make sure we've got that right. So that should be coming up before June, I believe, if it's not already in your diaries, so that we can start that conversation with you. And then we'll be looking to push off and do some work. Ideally, we'd be looking to have something more tangible to talk to you about towards the end of this year. So
yeah, just it sounds to me like the original terms of reference were not fit for purpose, and whether we need to revisit what it is we're expecting out of this process, because I think there is huge expectation around this table about what's going to land, and if we haven't agreed what we expect as the outcome, then it's going to potentially it's doomed to failure when it eventually hits this table. If we're expecting this and we get that.
Yep. And I think that's helpful feedback. I think when we come back to you, Brendan, Hara and I, our intention is to look at where that starting point was and where we think it needs to shift to, getting your input to that to make sure it lands in the right space. So we'll explore that with you.
Thank you. Yep.
Great, thank you. We're going to go to Councillor Warwick online now, and then we'll come to you, Deputy Mayor Kirby.
Oh, kia ora everyone. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Oh, cool.
You're
So
frozen. We can hear you. We can hear your audio.
that's right. I'll turn me off. My question is just around the local alcohol policy, Chris, and I've had a bit of feedback from the school, Otiki College particularly, around what has come out about the fees and charges in the long-term plan, and a bit of confusion over they're thinking they've been left out of decisions around local alcohol policy and stuff, and just ensuring that when this work does start again, that, or even before then, if we've put a pause on it, that those stakeholders are engaged with, just so they don't think they're kind of getting the wrong end of the stick about where they stand and if they've been left out of the loop.
Thank you. We will touch base with them and close the loop. I do understand, because we've obviously had the local alcohol policy that we'd started to engage people on, and we'd paused that because of the health strategy and wanting to get sort of broader input to that. And that was an advice from some of our sector partners. And then there's the alcohol licensees fees bylaw, which is really small and technical and about fees. And so I do understand why that would be confusing. So Hamish has just taken a note down to touch base, and we'll close that loop with you once we've done it. Thank you.
Yeah. And I think also, I talked to Jeannie the other day with regard to the health strategy. It would be good to combine the two with our schools and say, you know, especially in Otaki, we've got 3, you know, that go to 7th form, our iwi schools as well. So, or our kura. So it would be good to say to them, look, we haven't forgotten you. We do want to engage, but hey, can you engage in our health kind of strategy as well? Because I'm not sure they have. So that would be great.
Great. Hamish is writing it down, but Gina is also in the room, probably not on the camera, and she's taken a note of that as well. So we will close that loop.
Great point.
Thank you.
Shelley. Thank you. Is that all from you?
Yep. Thanks a lot.
Cool. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Kirby.
Can I just clarify the fees bylaw? We're going to decide that next week.
You will receive a paper seeking a decision next week.
Okay. It would be just a bit of feedback. We're really helpful to have that in this report, that we were facing that date, because it's not clear. I can't see it anywhere in this particular piece of work that we've got a decision coming. The only indicator is that it has to be by the 1st of July. So I was assuming it was going to be part of discussions later, after the number of feedback.
Yeah.
The bit of feedback that we've had through the long-term plan process. So
thank you. I just want to
comment.
say, yeah, that's very helpful, and we'll take that on board, I guess, for next time. Because it's been running alongside the LTP process, it's kind of got caught up in a way that it normally wouldn't. So, but we'll take that feedback.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks for the comment. Great. We've got 3 recommendations on page 107. Is there someone who would like to move? Deputy Mayor Kirby seconded. I'll second. Oh, yeah. Right of introduction. Lawrence. Waived. Any debate? No, not seeing any. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Great. Thanks, Hamish. And I think you're staying at the table for the next item? Yep. Cool. So 9.3, interim update on Vision Kapiti and our blueprint. Hamish, over to you to introduce.
Thank you very much. So this paper I'll take as read, but just a bit of update is this reflects the progress we've made on the first phase of the Vision Kapiti process with our local and district-wide visions. So most of you will be aware now who've been involved with the local visions are now all up and available on the local websites, and I know there's a number of range of activities underway to support further engagement and feedback on those processes. We're soon about to similarly get the district-wide process up and available, and are working on an engagement approach for that as well that we'll be in touch with around that. And I guess the key part of this paper in the discussion is around what the next steps of the vision process looks like, so we can kind of reach forward from where we currently are. And part of that is about the concept of the vision, which is described in the report. Outlining how we'll have the district-wide and local visions available on a web page and interactive ability to understand and explore those visions that we're currently working through. And then the next critical component to that process that comes up in a lot of the discussions is the how. And so it just tries to set out to the future, particularly the development of a supporting blueprint and the master planning process that we'll work through over the next key phase of the Kapiti Vision process. Which will actually set out some of the priorities and the actions and how we work through to achieve and deliver some of those outcomes over the next 10, 20 and 30 years. So the paper's just trying to set out some of that time frame into the future and to provide some context to the current stage of final feedback on the vision, and then how that leads into that next steps of the process. So I'm happy to take the paper as read and take any questions.
Great, thank you, Hamish. And yeah, an enormous amount of work and thinking and sort of development from the original sort of vision idea to now where we are. So it's really awesome Councillor Coe.
You're just wondering what we're doing about ongoing comms out to the community on where we're at with this, and are people aware that the information is available on the website now? How are we sort of promoting it and telling them what the next steps are, etc., etc.?
The short end, I guess, or maybe the targeted answer to you is our local visioning is happening and is being progressed through community boards at the moment. So each community board, Hamish is supporting and going around talking about Vision Capity through that portal.
And are the community boards letting their communities know, I guess is the question.
Yes, I've got
How's
a
it
nod. I've got a nod down the line that, but maybe we can come back and close that question. And
Good, I think there needs to be an ongoing comms plan around it.
so we are going to be coming back to you talking about the next phase for the entire piece, including our district-wide communication, and also to share. And behind-the-scenes work around our interactive webpage. So we want to bring that to you so you can see it, and then that's going to be something that we're pushing out to the community so that they can engage in
As long as we're letting them know, because just simply putting stuff on a website doesn't mean to say people are going to access it.
Yeah.
We have paused slightly through the LTP period, so that the LTP could be our focus with the community, and our next step is to re-engage in our Vision Capity space now that we are heading towards your final deliberations. We'll then be pushing forward, and that was a deliberate choice because I think we'd previously talked about some concerns that talking about both those things at once, people might start to wonder how they fit together. And even I must admit, even with Takatai Kapiti, going out in our last phase of work, people got a bit confused that Takatai Kapiti was actually talking about a budget for the LTP because the things were happening at the same time. So we've deliberately pulled back to try and go, let's let that finish and then we'll start again. So we will be coming back to you. It is on the cards, and do acknowledge the point about comms being extremely important for our final phase.
Yeah, because we don't want people to say, well, we talked to you, but then nothing happened, Yeah.
And just on that, I wonder whether it could be useful to have a session where each of the community boards sort of updates council as to where they're at with their communications out to their respective communities, just so we, as you said, have that oversight as to how the Waikanae, Otaki, Paraparu, Murau-Mati and Whakakiriki visions are going and what sort of comms are being deployed by each of the boards, and also maybe how council can continue to support. So it could be good to have that kind of workshop type of session.
Fantastic. I saw Hamish writing that down. We will we'll get that. In fact, I think our next strategic direction session is on the 6th of June. So we'll target that as part of the kaupapa for that session so that we can be sharing very soon.
Great, thank you. Cam Butler.
Ngā mihi, Madam Chair. Just want to, I know it's probably been said before, but just thank Hamish and Chris and the team for the work that they've put into this Vision Kapiti and the Vision Otaki stuff and the various community boards around there. And just to confirm, Liz, that we're starting to chat with Hamish and the crew about how do we go out with the next lot. For us, it'll be partnering with iwi to get more penetration into the iwi side of things, talking about pop-ups in the library, Facebook, pre-meeting before the community board meeting. So those sorts of things are the way that the Hamish and the community board are actually starting to talk about how to get the message out there. And I saw Michael was spamming the internet. Was it just yesterday with Vision Waikanae? With everywhere. So I can confirm that the boards are working on communication plans.
And I might just clarify that obviously this last phase of work is really about saying we've heard you, this is what we think we've heard, have we got it right? So this is not it's final, it's up online, it's got draft all over it to say we're still testing it with you. So I totally agree that next phase we really need to have people coming back to us.
And this is a good opportunity to actually draw out further feedback and further discussion, because a lot of the time when stuff's total big picture field, people go, and they can't think of something. But if they've got something in front of them to prompt them, you'll actually get some really good information out of them. Yeah, so I'm hoping it'll work well.
Yeah.
So, Councillor Coe was just saying it should be a continuous process. Yes, so we're proposing that as part of our next phase of coming back, talk about phase 2 and our blueprint and master plan. We're proposing that you're going to have continued discussion and engagement on topics so that we can make sure that the things that we heard and the things that we're doing line up with our community expectation and anything new that comes up, because that might happen as well.
Great. Councillor Wilson, and then we'll look for someone to move
Yeah,
the
again,
recommendations.
I think comms on this is really important. I think there's a danger that people conflate this vision with the LTP, because long-term plan and a vision is kind of the same thing, except one's longer than the other, and just so that I'm not sure that the comms has kind of clarified that, and probably because the LTP process is underway and you're probably better to try and get as much of that out of the way before you start introducing this or socialising this more. Anyway, there's a map. I'm not trying to be picky here, but I'm not very good with geography. On page 118, where it's got the wards, is that the boundary for Otaki, is that still accurate?
I can explain. I stole that for illustrative purposes from an online, a currently online tool that said around representation review and discussions. Is directly from that.
Yeah.
So it won't be the one that we're using. It's only for illustrative purposes, so that we could say kind of how that's how it would fit together.
Because the People's Republic of Waikanae have seized much of that territory.
I can draw the line on it online.
Our flag has been planted in the hills of Rekarangi.
All right, Councillor Wilson, any questions?
No, that's it.
No, okay. Is there someone who would like to move the 2 recommendations that we have here? You two have, I think, moved or seconded all of the recommendations. All right, moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Coe. Right of introduction, Deputy Mayor. Any debate? I just want to say, sorry team, is there any debate? No, we had a really awesome community workshop last night in Paikakiriki with about 25 odd people. Yeah, went really, really well. Hamish came down and helped give some context as to how the local vision fits in with the Vision Kapiti, Mahi and the master planning and blueprint stuff, and people were really engaged, got tons of post-its, heaps of questions, and yeah, a lot of willingness to continue spreading the word and involving even more of the community. And in Raumati, it's also going super well. We've got our Raumati South survey alive and well. We had, I think, almost 25 responses in one day the other day back to that survey. So we've started pushing it out via socials and businesses more. So yeah, just a bit of a whittle to the other community boards to up the engagement, to just keep reaching as many people as you can. Well, yeah, we can make it one. Deputy Mayor Kirby.
Oh, that's great. I also I just want to re-emphasise the importance of this work ongoing beyond LTP. I note that just recently there was a submission into this work from the community and social sector into this, and I know there are some other significant groups within our community that are also looking to try and pull together a voice to speak into this. So again, encourage our community to continue to put their thoughts on paper for us around this vision work, because it is important and it will dictate a lot of what happens in the next 20, 30, 40 years beyond our timeframes, which is, I'm excited to be able to think out beyond our lifespans to go, what could this look like for our kids and our grandkids? I think it's really important.
That completely. Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, just given that this vision goes, well beyond the LTP, and given coastal management strategies and that very public debate that's going on at the moment about that, and because the Takatai Kapiti is is going to be looking, out into the future. So a big part of the vision for Kapiti in, say, 50 years' time will there be a coastline or, those issues. We seem to have kind of gone around those. The vision doesn't really tackle some of those more thorny issues, and I just wonder at what stage they get fitted in. And just while I'm still got a red light, I just wanted to congratulate the Mayor and the Chief Executive for fronting to what was potentially a very thorny public meeting the other night. It was absolutely packed at Southwards, dealing with this coastal management issue, and represented council really well. And just congratulations on fronting to what was always going to be a really testing time, and handling that really well. And just the fact that they were there, and Janet was brave enough to get up and speak, but the fact that we were there, I think, was incredibly helpful. And that's that my point in relation to the vision is that we are engaged in the vision as well. We're engaged in those longer term processes, even though Lawrence somewhat pessimistically doesn't think he's going to be here. I'm planning on being here. Well, 30, 40 maybe. So modern science, mate. Yeah. So just how some of those more thorny issues fit in, because vision statements are very often, they're very fluffy, and they're Pollyanna-ish, but there are going to be some really curly issues coming up in the future. The impact of AI, for instance, isn't discussed in any of our vision statements, but the impact of AI on employment and opportunities, etc., is going to be huge into the future.
Thanks,
right?
Councillor Wilson. Noting we are in debate, I think Chris would just like to respond briefly, and then we'll go to the vote.
I think I'll just say about the point about feedback in Te Katai Kapiti. I just want to reassure everyone that we are actually going to take the feedback from Te Katai Kapiti and insert it into Vision Kapiti so that we can record the really valuable feedback, and I'll say perspectives that have been put on the table. Because we have asked people, how would you like to live? What would you like to see? And that's a really important part of our visioning. As to next steps and our pathways, I think we'll be enjoying some good conversations with you through our blueprint and pathways about how things fold in to that forward plan.
Great, thank you. So recommendations have been moved by Deputy Mayor Kirby, seconded by Councillor Coe. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Thank you again, Hamish. All right, so moving on to item number 10, confirmation of minutes, 10.1. Would anyone like to move that the minutes? Okay, yep. Moved Councillor Wilson, seconded by... Sorry, team, we haven't quite finished the meeting. Councillor Cooper. Coops. Yeah, I know. Everyone. We're still in the meeting, just an FYI. So, so the confirmation of minutes has been moved by Councillor Wilson. Who would like to second? Councillor Coford. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That is carried. And I believe that takes us to a closing karakia. Which, Kim, would you be willing to do a closing karakia? Thank you. We'll pass it to you. No, you can do whatever karakia you want. Yeah.
Kia ora tātou. Kia tau, kia tātou katoa, te ata whai o tō tātou ariki. O ihu karaiti me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhinga tahitanga ki te wairo tapu ake āmene.
All right, kia ora, thank you, Kim.
Madam Chair, could I say something, please?
Yes. Oh, there's a few people. The meeting, wait just 1 second, we're just waiting for the live streaming to be turned off and then, yeah. And we didn't do this at the end of our last soft meeting, but we'll maybe just take a couple of minutes to provide any reflection